Hello. The Goofette here, aka Annette, and I'm here. I'm smiling a big smile, but I'm actually going to be doing something pretty brave, I think, and pretty deep. I'm going to be reading a letter that I wrote to a person who I care a lot about, and it's a pretty deep subject. And I am going to be brave and put it on YouTube. Yep. So I just want to warn you that there will be tears, and it is very deep subject matter. It's very adult subject matter. It is about suicide. So if you don't want to see me cry, stop it now. If you don't want to hear about suicide, stop it now. If you leave a comment on my YouTube in any sort of a negative regard, after I've just given that warning, I'm going to flip you the bird personally and delete your note. Okay? Just love. That's all I want. Just the love. Okay? I'm doing this as kind of I'm doing it for myself, but I'm hoping that my experience, Annette's Audicy, can potentially help somebody other than myself. If it doesn't, that's okay. But I got Jesus there on my on my desktop, and he's supporting me right now. So he's guided me to do this, and this is actually take 3 because I've gone off on tangents, which is what these video diaries are. So, anyways, this is going to be more condensed because it has to be under a certain timeline. So, anyways, okay. So, dear person I care about, please watch this movie. And the movie is actually called Shrink with Kevin Spacey. Highly recommend watching it. Again, it's about suicide and a lot of pot smoking. So anyways, so I planning on giving this movie to this person. So please watch this movie. I don't presume to know your wife or what she might have been thinking when she took her own life. But what I can tell you is what I've thought when I seriously contemplated taking mine. I first seriously looked into the end out in Peggy's Cove, which is one of my favorite places on this marble. On the cliffs, away from the tourists, above the angrily churning waters, I had a big fight with God. I was so hurt and angry at him and my then husband for having left me for another woman. I'm actually going to edit this next part because it's too personal as to him, so I'm going to skip forward here. I was lost. I was utterly lost because I was nothing without him. I was very misguided back then. He was my whole world. He was my heart, my love, and I wasn't good enough for him, at least in my eyes. And in my, I write, which to me at the time included not skinny enough because I had body image issues, and he was the first person who I ever told I had an eating disorder, and he wouldn't marry me if I didn't stop. And technically I did stop throwing up, but I still had the underlying cause of it. I went from maybe 105, 110 when we met up to maybe 125, maybe. And I thought it was huge then. So in my head, when he left me because I was fat. And for this other skinnier, prettier woman. That's not in the letter. I'm just ad-libbing. Okay. I had given him everything, including $25,000 towards his first solo album. Trust me, you have never heard of him, as he is no longer in the music industry. As a result of my breakdown, I lost my job. I had to declare bankruptcy. Can you feel just how low I was back then? So on those cliffs, I just didn't want to hurt anymore. I asked myself, or Goddess, Buddha, Allah, the universe, Gaia, God, whatever you want to call it, who would care if I jumped? Oh, sure, my family and friends. But I could not stand the pain for them. It was just way too much. Then, in a blaze of insight from the universe, I thought, hey, it would matter to me if I wasn't here on this blue-green marble anymore. If I made myself go home by my own hand, it would matter to me and it would matter to God. So, my love, this person, okay, I'm actually not going to read this part because it's really not pertinent. I believe you can love somebody in a relatively short amount of time and not necessarily be in love with them, as far as want them as like a lifelong partner, but just love them for who they are, love them for their vulnerability, for their struggle, for their smile, for their humor, like I think people don't attach or attach too much taboo to the word of love, which I would love to campaign against, because I love telling people that I love them when in today's society that is a taboo thing to do. So again, not in the letter, off course a little bit. So okay. So the realization that I made that day, that I matter to me, that realization seems to be the difference between my survival and your wife's decision to go home early or to kill herself, commit suicide. Yesterday, it wasn't actually yesterday. Today is the 13th of January, 2013. And I don't actually know the day that I wrote this. I didn't write it down, but it was a few weeks ago. So just kind of keep that in mind. So yesterday, I found myself so desperately wanting to go home. The next step, to leave Earth, the pain, the struggle, my weakness, cut Annette's Audicy short. I thought about my brother finding me, but I honestly did not care. I then thought about making it look like an accident. Perhaps, slipping in the tub and hitting my head or something. But Jesus spoke inside of me and he just said, remember that you matter to you and you matter to me. So at that moment as well, because my Odyssey has been going on since June 4th, and it's included, just to recap for those of you who don't know, losing a job that I desperately loved and thought I was going to have forever, to having a horrible, horrible fight with my boyfriend. Even though we knew we were going to be breaking up, we had had a horrible, horrible fight. That was in July. I started smoking, and I'm now doing the smoking non-smoker blog. Let's see, I found a job. I moved out of the house on October 1st as a live-in nanny. On October 2nd, we were rear-ended. She fired me via text message on October 27th. I moved in with the fellow I was seeing at the time, who lived with his mother, who said I could stay until January, changed her mind. I went back to live with my ex-boyfriend mid-November. Soon after, 2 weeks maybe, he kicked me out, what is legally our home. Then I moved in with my brother. I'm now on his sofa and have been here since mid-November. And on December 2nd was in another car accident where I was taken to the hospital. The first accident was not was bad because the car was written off, but I didn't go to the hospital that day. The injury kind of soft tissue damage can happen, um, you know, later on down the road. So, but the second accident, I was in by myself, and I was taken to the hospital that night, and it was quite bad. Um, so, okay, so accident December 2nd. I was kept out of my home where all of my belongings are, where my two cats are, by my ex-boyfriend who kicked me out because I found out that he was seeing a married woman, and I told him what I thought of that. And legally, I'm still allowed to be in the home. So I broke in one day through a window. The police came, couldn't do anything because it was my home, and it was an issue between the landlord and myself for the damage of the window, which I cleaned up. And then um, it's so much. Okay, so then Christmas comes around. Um, didn't have the money to go home. A good friend of mine was supposed to came to visit from New Brunswick. Ended up missing his train because he came to church with me. And then he ended up staying. His family would not give him money to get back home. So he stayed with me, and I didn't go. It was the first Christmas I never went to spend it with any sort of family. We spent it together. It was lovely. And then he ended up going back home on the 28th. My ex-boyfriend let me go back to our home to pick up some things. We had a fight. I ended up locking myself in the bathroom to have the worst panic attack of my life where I fainted twice. The paramedics came, corked my head. They're telling me to sit up as I'm like laying down on the floor next to the toilet, and dude literally pulls me up, and I can't keep myself up. So I literally he lets go of me, and I literally fall back down and cork myself on the head next to the toilet. It was fantastic. Dropped my iPhone into the toilet while I was on with 911 and throwing up. It was great. Then um, and all this is real too. You can't make this shit up. Then on New Year's Eve, I needed to get back into the house to get some things because I left my phone and my glasses at the old place, and Stephen wouldn't give me a key, and my super wouldn't let me in. So I broke in again, thinking that the same thing would happen, that, the cops would get called and they leave because I'm still. No, no. They came with guns in my fucking face, wrestled me to the. I wouldn't say wrestled because I wasn't fighting them, but really hard knuckled me down to the ground into the really hard fucking snow. Shirt pulled up to my friggin' boobs, asking, "Can you please pull down my shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll do that in a sec." Like, oh my god, assholes, biggest assholes ever. Anyways, and then arrested. Steven was called. He didn't want to press charges. They still arrested me. So I have a court date in February. And I'm so excited because I'm actually going to get to tell all of this. Well, maybe not all of it, but like the juicy parts. And because I'm completely in the right. I went to the tenancy board, and I'm still legally, like, I am the victim here, when it comes to the eyes of the court as far as that goes. So I breaking into my own home is an issue of me replacing what I broke, and that's all. The charges are going to get dropped, and I'm so excited. So anyways, I'm going to end this, and I didn't finish my letter, but I think that that's why. But anyways, I'm going to end this, and then if you have any questions, just like write me or something, okay? So this is the Goof At. Thank you for listening. I love you all. Hugs and blessings, and mwah! Bye.